Wake up and smell the coffee, Mr. LaRusso.
Extreme situations require extreme measures.
Yeah, it's probably about it. Yo guys, welcome back to Cobra Kai Karate. Welcome back to brand new video. Today we are finally here with my Breaking Bad Season 5 review. I've reviewed all 4 seasons. I started my first season 1 review all the way back in April. But as you guys know, this is my favorite TV show of all time, tied with Better Call Saul. But if it goes to my head, I would say Breaking Bad. Really, for the main reason, this season right here. It's probably gonna be a long video because I think this season is not only my favorite television season of all time, which I hold at a really high standard because I watch so many shows and I'm very critical, as you guys know, on almost everything I watch. But it's not just my favorite, it's the greatest of all time. And there's a big difference between that, and I want to make it clear. My favorite movie of all time is either 1976 Rocky, 2014 Whiplash. Whatever one I probably watch last is my favorite. But I can fully understand that those are not the greatest of all time, because not everyone will like Rocky, the slow pace, Whiplash. I get it. Greatest movies of all time are, I would say, the ones that objectively do the best acting, best screentelling, most iconic, most perceived as the greatest by the fans. So that would be considered as greatest. You could say The Godfather, Shawshank Redemption. I would say Forrest Gump, Back to the Future. I would say those movies in their own way because anyone can watch that and enjoy it. But yeah, Godfather, Shawshank Redemption, all the movies I consider some of the greatest. Those ones are there. But Breaking Bad, to me, is not only my favorite, to me it's the greatest. You can't bring up any television series season that is more greater than this, that reached heights better than this. And this is not a subjective matter. If you don't like it, if you like television more than that, that's fine. But everyone must bow to the helm of this season right here, because this is peak anything. Literally anything. So I don't even know where to go from this. I'm just gonna be a long thing, because this season has like 3 seasons of its own, and every single one of them is the best season of Breaking Bad which is the greatest show of all time. So how do I even begin with that? I didn't know where to start, because it literally has like 3 parts to it. I mean, there was 2 parts released in 2 different years, 2012, 2013, but it still feels like 3 different parts. The first part is the aftermath of Walt and everything, of him becoming the kingpin, becoming the villain, and then finally letting it go. The second part is him and Hank and them going after each other. The third part is, the redemption. And every single one of those parts, like I said, is the greatest peaks of Breaking Bad. I would take each one of those parts over every season. And that's not a discredit to any seasons. I love all 4 seasons, which I'm going to rank all 5 seasons after this video comes out. But with all that being said, that's just my basic summary of this. I'm now going to get into it episode by episode. Obviously, spoilers. I don't know why I even say that, but I guess I will. And we're going to talk about this and how truly great this is. And if you guys think it is as good as I believe it is, or maybe you don't, because you can't pull up any Game of Thrones season, any Sopranos season, with all due respect. With all due respect. You can't pull up any Better Call Saul season, The Wire season, freaking any season you want, and say there's a better season than this season right here. So let's go. Episode 1 through 16. Let's do it. Before I can even talk about episode 1, I kind of have to talk about the season 4 finale, episode 13, Face Off, which is one of the greatest episodes of all time. And really, the season 4 whole finale was just absolutely bonkers, which it felt like a series finale. I also have that one last twist. That last twist, like, honestly, if you want to make Breaking Bad, kind of do what you're doing to Walt in this season, where it was him realizing that his family's there and I don't need this anymore, I want to protect them. Have him not poison Brock and have Gus actually poison Brock, and then have him and Jesse team up and him live off happy ever. That would be the exact season 4 and the great finale, and you just have to change Walt to start breaking, not more evil and less thing, but that twist made the decision, we're going to make him the villain, make him pay for his sins, what this season does. So they make him the complete villain. And the season 4 finale, like I said, check out my season 4 review if you really want to see me talk about that. Absolutely amazing. But this episode 1, Live Free or Die, begins in a 2-year time jump where he's now 52 years old and he looks completely different. And I love how they set the stage of he is going to fall down. Because when you're watching him as a villain this season, which if people are denying he's not a villain, you truly need to check your mental space, bro. I'm going to be completely honest. When you're watching it, it makes you know something bad's going to happen. It's not me you think Walt's going to get away with this. You know something bad's going to happen. And you know it's going to fall down. And it creates not only tension, it also makes it easier to watch. And it also gives you suspense. So the whole thing about him grabbing a gun in the future and not knowing what he's going to do is absolutely amazing. Obviously, after rewatching, the context, it's a lot cooler. But when that's just a great way to do it. Then we get directly after season 4 finale. They didn't even play the whole clip of I won everything. And you see him hiding everything, trying to trace the evidence. And you see Skylar and them come back, and he's almost feeling like a champion. Like, I just took down Gus Fring. I just did this. I just saved our family almost. And he feels like $1 million. He feels like the guy who outsmarted this guy, the whole operation all on his own when he was 100 to 1 odds. But no, Skylar, she is afraid of him. She doesn't know who he is. It's like, I got rid of the danger. She goes, I thought you were the danger. And Skylar, say what you want about her, but her in this whole thing of being uncomfortable, feeling like a prisoner in her own home, scared for her family, not knowing what to do, I absolutely loved it. And it created a really great dilemma of, even if Walt was really doing the good thing for his family, which he wasn't, but even if he was, and him believing he probably is, it wouldn't have mattered. Because what he's turned into and what has happened, it's already gone. So even if he wanted to go back, or he thinks he still has him, it's already gone. Which I think is not only makes sense for their characters, it's really cool for Walt, because it gives him more reasons to, like, this is all I have. This is who I am now. Like, even if I want to change back, and we see that later on in the thing. But I think it just creates a really great thing. This episode, you also get to see Hank and everyone trying to find all the evidence, but they can't, because now the whole thing about Gus being it, and then the whole thing of Mike. And I love this episode. Is like a whole story of its own. Each episode feels like it has its own identity. It's all created into a bigger story, but each episode has its own identity. This episode is all about deleting that laptop, or else we are all screwed. So it creates huge tension. I love the Walt and Mike bickering. It's just so funny. Jesse intertwining with it, and the whole thing about the magnet plans and getting the magnets was such a cool thing. And yeah, the whole plan there, getting it set up, was absolutely amazing.
Concrete.
Or what about a magnet?
What magnet? What about it?
This episode, we also get the whole thing of Skylar visiting Ted and him like being almost afraid of her, which can create some great things there too as well. But yeah, the whole thing about them going there with the magnets and getting it out. It was an absolutely amazing action tense scene, and I absolutely adored it. And this whole episode was just really, really fun. And then you get the whole scene where Walt, now he's like, okay, what's next? It's not just go. He goes to Saul and is like, I'm done. We're done when we say we're done. Because he's like, dude, you almost made me kill a kid. Jesse almost killed me. I'm done with this. He's like, we're done when I say we're done. So right there, Walt saves himself. And now instead of savoring it, he's like, let's go right back to it. So it creates an amazing first episode. Like I said, I love how it has its own identity, and it's about the magnets. Really fun. I give episode 1 an 8.8 out of 10. Then we get to episode 2, which is another amazing episode. Not as great as the first one, but I still think it's really fun, and it creates an amazing scene and dynamics that set stage for the season. So episode 2, Mather Girl, I believe it's called. I'm not sure exactly, but it starts off with the cold open about the guy killing himself now that he is a part of Gus's team and everything, which is a big cold open, which kind of seemed like it had nothing to do with what was going on, but you know, it's fine. It was pretty cool, I guess. And then we get to see the whole thing. I love the scene where Jesse and Walt are trying to find the ricin that got lost, because you know, and you see Walt actually staging it and going there, and then Jesse finding it, and he's like, oh, it's okay, it's all good. And you see Jesse just break down and cry about him feeling even more guilty about. He not only feels guilty for him just losing it willy-nilly or something that important, he thinks he did at least. He also feels so guilty that he was ready to kill Walt, something that is not his fault, which it absolutely is. And him breaking down and Walt just hovering over him kind of in the background. And it's like, it's so, it's just so gross almost. It's just gross to see it. Where you see the vulnerability of Jesse and you see Walt just like there, and he's almost orchestrating this for his own benefit. He's like, I would not have had it any other way for us to get back on that side. You know, I'm sure Walt feels some guilt there, but it's not enough to change him. Because I think deep down in his head at this moment, he's like, this is what we got to get together. And anyway, after that, Walt and Jesse, they get back together and they want to start cooking meth again. They go talk to Gus about it. Sorry. Whoa. Yeah, right. Talk to Gus. Yeah.
Look at me.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
They go talk to Mike about it, and he's like, nope, because you're a ticking time bomb, which he is. And he's like, I did not want to do it. Once again, I love their banter together. Really good. Then after that, we see a new character introduction, which I really do like her in the season, as like this kind of weird kind of villain almost, Lila. Was it Lydia? Yeah, Lydia. I think she was really cool and interesting, and her wanted to go kill Mike's men, but Mike's saying not to, but then she does send someone to do it, and they die. Really good stuff there. I also love the stuff where Hank is now interrogating Mike, and he's talking about his daughter's money, and that's where Mike's like, okay, now I could probably have to go work with Walt because he needs his money, needs protection. And then after all that, I love the scene also where Mike goes to kill Lydia after he already did, but he doesn't do it because of the daughter, and he's like, can you get more methamphetamine? And that's where he decides that we're going to go there. I love that with him. I love seeing more human side of Mike. Mike's such a great character, and we see even more. A lot more in Better Call Saul, so I absolutely love it. And then it ends with him calling Walt like, I'm in. So just another great episode. And then you also do get this really uncomfortable scene where Walt's in bed with Skyler, like trying to comfort her and pretend like everything's normal, and you see her like really uncomfortable but not saying anything. Like I said, Skyler this season was great, feeling kind of vagueness out. And a little later in the season, like I'm gonna say, like in the part 2 of this season, really out of nowhere craziness, but we'll get to that later. Overall, I thought the episode was really enjoyable. It adds so much great dynamics between Mike, with Jesse, Skyler, Walt, and everything. I give it an 8.5 out of 10. So after episode 1 was really the whole episode about setting the stage and the whole thing about being a whole plan about the magnets and the thing and that whole thing. Episode 2 was all about the dynamics and everything there. Episode 3 is an episode that also has its own great identity about them getting back in business and trying to figure out where to go. So episode 3, Hazard Play, was a really enjoyable episode. It starts off, we see Walt moving back in with Skyler, where, she does not seem like that, but he's just like, oh, it's okay, it's all good. Like, he seems like it's nothing, which is, it's kind of crazy how oblivious he is to it. That just shows delusion in his head that he thinks he's doing the right thing and that he actually believes that they support this. But this episode, I just love to see Walt, Jesse, Saul, and Mike together. I mean, the big four all together, going and trying to find a place to go, then going to the laser tag, all that stuff. It was really fun scenes, and just the stuff you love of it. Although Breaking Bad season 5 is looked at like a really dark season, I think the comedy is also just amazing. And then deciding to do the whole thing in the houses was a really cool idea. It was really unique. It was great to see Skinny Pete and Badger back. Always great to see them back, and them helping Jesse with some things too. Amazing. We get introduced to Todd, which off the first, he seems like a really just subtle, nice, good guy. He becomes the most eeriest character we ever seen in the show, which is saying a lot, so that'll be really great later on. But yeah, this episode, really another weird scene where Walt goes into Jesse's house and he's there with Brock. Always just weird there. But we see that whole thing, and then we see him actually cooking the meth, which, the cooking meth scenes are always pretty cool just to see they actually do it. And just to see Walt and Jesse there in their yellow suits, it just seems iconic almost. And then you see him actually talking, and him talking about, like, it seems like Walt actually is giving good advice to Jesse and everything, and it's actually a really good bonding moment between them. They actually seem like the most open ever here. And I think Walt does care about Jesse. I just don't think he actually I just think his values are in a different place, and whenever push comes to shove, he's going to go to a different era. But then we get the whole Skylar crash out scene, which is telling Marie to shut up, which is a really good scene, and it finally shows that tension you see building her just break out. And then oh god, I hate the scene. Like I said, although you show two sides to Walt this season, it still makes it very obvious he's the villain. Like when Marie comes asking what was wrong, and instead of Walt saying something that he did about the gambling, at least her story is that, goes, oh, she was sleeping with Ted, and it kind of manipulates the situation to make Marie look like she's the guilty one, and then makes Marie feel bad for Walt. It was like, seriously, dude? But anyway, that's that. Then after all that, we see Walt and Walt Jr. watching Scarface, which is a really funny, cool scene. And then you get the whole tension between the group, between Walt, Mike, and Jesse about the money. Another really great scene. And then the actual ending ends in a really weird way, where it's like Walt, it really starts really showing the insight of Walt. He's like, he's talking about, like, what if he just killed Mike and his guys? What if he just did that? He doesn't explicitly say that, but he's almost like, like what Gus did. Like, he really wants to become Gus. He wants to become the kingpin. And like Mike says, just because you killed Jesse James does not make you Jesse James. But like Jesse's like talking about like, oh yeah, he's trying to talk about personal things, and then Walt's just like, oh, I don't care. Like, what about this? What about this? It just shows the values of Walt, and it's starting to show the villain truly just not even, I'm gonna say becoming him. I'm gonna say revealing. It's just there in him already. So another really good episode, really fun. I give it an 8.7 out of 10. Then we get to episode 4, what you guessed is another great episode. I would say just on par with episode 3, where I think it brings a lot more about the dynamics at home and the stuff really inside the characters in their normal life, and I really enjoy what they do. So, episode 4, 51, really enjoyed it. Let's get to it. Right off the bat, starts off a pretty cool scene where you see Walt and Walt Jr. and they go buy those really nice cars. It was a really fun scene, but it also just shows the absolute insanity and ego of Walt, which, you know, kind of makes Skylar the bad person again, that she has to get rid of it. Then you get the whole Walt's birthday coming up soon. He's expecting so much from them, but, you know, not much there. Then you even get to see the bacon thing. She puts the bacon back on 51. Crazy to think that, that just clicked to me why it's called 51, but it's crazy to think that you look at episode 1, and you look at this, now it's only a 1 year. Holy crap, that's crazy. That's a mind bugger there. Just see how different these people are and what actually happened. But yeah, you see Hank still really trying to figure out this case, and they're trying to kind of close it and trying to move to other things, but it just seems he cannot close it. There's still something here that he's looking for. Then you get the whole thing about them coming to their birthday party. Walt goes in there expecting so much, but it's really just a small thing, you know, and there's really not that much. But Marie and Hank are coming over. Of course, Marie tells Hank about what happened because she can't keep her mouth shut. And the whole birthday scene I thought was really good, where Walt's talking and everything, and he just seems everything is normal. He's talking about the thing, and you see Skylar just start walking in the pool, where I don't think it was a attempt, which I think it was just a cry out for help. She was trying to get help. She was trying to get the kids taken away. She was trying to show everyone that there's a problem here. She knows she can't say it, but she's just trying to do something because she doesn't know what else to do. She can't communicate it with words, so she does it with action. So it was when you're watching in real time, it seems like really crazy, like what's going on, but it really does make a lot of sense. And then you see the whole thing about Walt talking about it and the kids going, and you get Walt and Skylar's argument about her, like, I'm trying to keep the kids away from you. He's like, we're safe. He's like, I can't believe that. I'm not gonna do that. And I love where he's like, you want to take me on? You're trying to take my kids? Like, you cannot do that. And she goes, and she's like breaking down her plan, and she basically admits, like, I'm not smarter than you. I don't have your talents. I don't have your manipulative talents. All I can do is just keep them away as long as I can and count down the days. He's like, count the days till what? He goes, till the cancer's back. Needle drop right there. Mic drop right there. It just completely obliterates Walt's perception and delusion in his head that he was doing this for his family when his own wife is trying to keep his kids away from him and just counting down the days till he's dead. That right there corrupts him completely, where now he feels completely out of his everything, and he doesn't have a fighting chance for it, because it's not, you can't manipulate someone to get love back. He can try, but it's not how it works. And now he's just almost feels like this is the game he's in now is all he has. So I love the scenes there. I thought this episode was really good. This episode I'm going to give an 8.5 out of 10. I thought it was another really good episode. And then we get to episode 5, which is one of my favorites in the entire show, because it is just literally a GTA mission, and that is a big compliment. So let's get to episode 5. I mean, going back to what I was saying all the way in the beginning of this video, every episode has its own identity, and it feels like its own show. Each episode feels like its own meaning, an own show, an own movie almost, like a short film in every episode. What you haven't seen any Breaking Bad season, really any other season, which is just adding more to my argument on why this is the greatest season of all time, let alone my favorite. So this episode is all about the train heist and about trying to do that. It starts off with the cold open about the kid getting the spider, which will come back and play at the end in a crazy way. We'll get to that. But yeah, the whole thing about Walt going to Hank and crying just to put the mic in there, like I said, just adding more to his villainous opponent of him. And you see, I love the interrogation where they get Lydia and they think she's doing it, but they've realized that she actually is not doing it. They actually were. And she's like, I can get you guys so much methamphetamine, like more than you can imagine. And that's when they start coming up with the plan. And I always love how Walt and Mike start arguing with each other, and then Jesse's in the background. He says something that sounds stupid, but it's actually a really good idea, plan. Or he's like, what if we do it without them ever realizing it? And then we get the whole plan, and the whole plan about them, the gallon, getting it out of there, filling it back with water the exact amount, and you won't be able to tell because it would just kind of seem like it's water. It's like watered down soda. I mean, you'll just blame the production of it. You don't assume someone stole it. And if you did, even after you did do that, it'd be months and months ahead, where basically you just got that for nothing. So the whole thing, the whole sequence is an absolute like awesome tension mission. The most like amazing action and the best action and tension, maybe not tension, but some of the best action / tension in a bundle we ever seen in the show. And I've seen in any series. It was an absolutely amazing, where they're trying to keep the guys out, where you see them going in there trying to get it, Walt holding it and waiting, then Todd jumping off and Jesse staying and the train goes over them. Love the scene. It was great action. They're all celebrating and everything, and then the kid walks by waving, and then next thing you know, Todd just goes hi, and from this point he just seemed like this kind of guy. Pulled out a gun and just shoots the kid. There's the episode. Holy crap. I mean, that is just an amazing episode, amazing ending. And I absolutely adore this episode. It was one of the best episodes of the show. It had amazing action. It had great moments between the characters. And the ending was absolutely insane, where it just adds more to the characters later on. I give this episode a 9.5 out of 10. Absolutely fantastic episode. It feels like an action movie about some gangsters that is just awesome, and it's amazing. So I love this. Now here's the funny thing about episode 6. This is probably the worst episode in the season, and it's still an absolutely amazing episode. So it's gonna be so funny for me to even say this is the worst episode of the season, and it's still being absolutely amazing. By the way, I do plan in the future to rank all Breaking Bad episodes, and this will probably be way high on the list considering how great it still is. And I also do plan to rank all 5 seasons, obviously. I already actually recorded that video. I'm going to post that after this comes out. So if you want to see my ranking for all that, check it out. But episode 6 starts off with the tension of what just happened, and you see how mad Jesse is, and he seems like the most human one there, where he punches Todd, and Todd gives his reasons. He's like, I don't regret it. I was looking out for the best interest. And then basically Walt and Mike are like, logically like, either we kill him, nothing changes. I decide we just keep him with us. And you see how that troubles Jesse and troubles everyone, and it troubles the morality. And Walt, maybe, I don't think he actually truly cared. I think it shocked him. I think it made him feel a little bad. But it's like if you saw if you saw an animal get ran over on the street, you would feel bad. It might shock you, but you'd still go on with your life and just move on. I feel like that's how Walt became, because he's been such hardened by the decisions he's had to made. What you could say, he got forced into it by whatever it is, or whatever you want to say. I just think he's changed so much that whoever he was it's almost like it's buried under hundreds of the steel of what he's become, and it's only going to take the most tragedy thing right in front of his face to chip him back to who he is, which will not be till the final episode, which I'll talk about a lot. People saying he did not get redeemed, or he is still. We're going to talk about that later, but then you get the whole thing of Marie trying to talk to Skylar and tell her what's going on, but she just doesn't say it 'cause she doesn't feel she can. And you see Jesse still feeling really troubled by the murder, like it's really ruined him. And Walt, it's like it haunts me every night. But like, hey, if we're going to hell, I mean, we're gonna go there anyway, so I'm not gonna give up. And then he's like, and then he puts on the fact that he cares so much, and this stands true what I was just saying, that he doesn't truly care, because as Jesse's walking away, you hear him just whistling, like what the frick, really weird and creepy. And then you get the whole thing where Mike is about to go. He's done, and so is Jesse. And Walt is freaking out, and he's like, you can keep your methamphetamine, but we're done. You can sell on your own, but we're done. We'll take our third. And he's like, we just got all this thing, and now we're just giving up. And he's like, we're still going to get $5 million or however million. This is not giving up. But it's not about the money anymore. It's really just about doing it. That's it. All it means to Walt now. Which creates a lot of tension moving forward. But then we see, I love the scene where Jesse comes to Walt's house, and Skylar's there. Such an awkward scene, but I love how Walt says, like, she's counting down the days I died. This is all I have now. It's like, it kind of does make sense, but like, it also is like, she's counting down the days you're dying because she because you're doing this. Just let it go and you won't do it. But that's the dilemma in his head. He can't see it. He sees it's the only way he can live and operate now because his wife doesn't love him. But he's too blind to see. That's why he doesn't love him, because they're doing that. And then I love where Walt tries to do it. Then Mike ties him down and everything. Then Mike comes back there, and Walt is there and Jesse, and he's like, "Wait, I got an idea where we all get what we want." And then the episode ends, which leads to episode 7, the opening, more particularly, in a great way. So episode 6 was a fantastic episode, not bad at all, but it's probably the worst of the season. Still amazing. I give it an 8.5 out of 10. Like I said, wow, the worst episode is 8.5. I know. Anyway, episode 7 is called Say My Name. What am I doing? Okay, let's get to it. I love the episode. Let's go. So before we even figure out what the plan is, we're already at the plan, and it gets explained as he's explaining it there, which is a fantastic plan. And it also just shows how smart which Walt is, and how crazy smart he is. And I love the opening. Obviously, one of the most iconic scenes is him there talking to him, where he's like, "You buy the meth from us, then you let me work a few, and you're gonna make more money you is, and I'm the guy that you're trying to pretend to be. Like you dye your meth blue to make it look like mine. Like you're the cheap version. Well, I'm the classic Coke." And then he goes, "Say my name." He goes, "What? I don't know who you are." He goes, "You know who I am. I'm the cook. I'm the man who killed Gus Fring." He's like, "Tell Gus Fring?" "Bullshit." He goes, "Yeah." He looks at Mike and he shakes his head. He's like, this bastard Walt. He's like, "Yeah, he did it." Then he goes, "Now, say my name." He's like, "You're Heisenberg." "You're damn right." Boom, Breaking Bad intro. Can I just say, absolutely awesome. I mean, it does show how crazy egotistic Walt is, but it's also like a lot cooler Walt. I gotta say, it makes them a cool, intimidating, awesome, smart villain, which is what he is. You can use the word anti-hero if you so desire, but if you're gonna say he's not at least a villainous, then you truly have some issues. You've been watching too much Sigma edits.
And it was his fault that they hated him. But this is simply not true. Walter wasn't a bad guy, he just became based. Let me define this term.
But anyway, the episode after that continues in an amazing way. Like, the intro was awesome, but it just continues in an amazing way. Mike's going a separate way. It's like leaving that behind. He's like saying goodbye, and then Walt is really pushing on Jesse to come back, but he just is so out of it. Walt even reaches breaking point with Jesse, kind of just playing in on the things like, what do you have, video games, nothing, and then it won't be soon until you're using it again. And he's basically just trying to break him down as much as he can, but Jesse's not budging, where he only pushes him further away, where he's like, "I'm just leaving you." Later on, Hank's getting more grilled by the guys higher up, saying, "We got a job to do. You got to let this go. Why are you trying to go after Mike? Like, you don't have anything on him. You need to let this go." And I love how Hank just feels like he's like almost through and done. And no one kind of is doing that. It's kind of what was like in season 4 when he was going after Gus. But now the mystery is even bigger, and it's right under his nose, and it's going to all come to conclusion soon. Then you see Walt even snooping lower, where he gets frickin' Todd to start helping cook him the meth, which is ridiculous, but you just see how desperate he is for maintaining this. And then we see Walt go get try to go get the mic out of Hank's office. That's when you realize that they're going after, that they found the money, and now they got Mike. And Mike, he calls him, and Mike's with his granddaughter, and he looks one last time. It's a really sad scene, especially if you watch Better Call Saul, where he's just gone, and that's that. He tried his best, but he knows that my time is over. So he leaves. Maybe Mike always knew this would happen, or he always prepared for it, but I think in this moment it was truly a letdown. Then we get Walt, Saul, and Jesse together as they're trying to figure out what to do. Obviously, Jesse really cares about Mike, and then he's talking about getting this money. I think he wants Saul to do it, but Walt says he'll do it. Walt goes, gets it, he gives it to him, and man, the ending of this episode, wow. He goes up to Hank, and he's like, and he gives him the money, and he goes like, "I thank you," and he goes, "What exactly should I thank you for?" And he goes like, saving your life, and then he's like, all this is your fault. He's like, oh, you get caught by the DA, this is my fault. And then this is where I keep saying Gus, the frick. Mike just crashes out, and he goes like, we had a good thing going, you stupid son of a It's like, we had fring, we had a lab, we had everything working like clockwork, and you just had to blow it up. You and your pride and your ego, you just had to be the man. If you'd known your role, done your job, it'd all be fine right now. Which is very true. It's very true. Now you could say in the circumstances of season 4, he literally had to defend his family, but he kept pushing and pushing. From the beginning, if he truly just stuck his job, everything would be fine, and he would have got his money, but it's never about the money. That's the illusion of it, but it's always something deeper. And this is where Walt, the villainous, the true monster in him, just cracks and explodes. Where he just literally grabs a gun and shoots Mike. And then he goes off there, and you see him in the sunset, shot and dead, and he goes like, you know what? I think I can get those names from Lydia. Seriously? It's like, I'm sorry. It's like, you're sorry. He's like, I really should not have done that. And he goes like, shut the fuck up. Let me die in peace. Then it's just really quiet, and then he just falls over. What a perfect death for Mike, because it creates two great paths in both these characters. You see Mike get his ending where he gets killed by a guy he never believed in, he never liked, but it's a part of a game that he chose and that he responded to, and that he knows this was the end of my life. He's a good guy. I do believe he's a good guy, Mike, but he made the bad choices. He took the bad choice road, and this is the end of that road. But it also creates Walt into the villain, ultimate villain. Now he's took out him, and now him kind of playing both sides of trying to be a villain and a good guy is now not working. So in an amazing episode, I give this episode a 9.4 out of 10. And I gotta say, from this episode all the way to the last episode, every single episode is a 9 plus out of 10 episode. Just want to make that clear. What brings us in to episode 8, which was another absolutely amazing episode. So episode 8 carries on exactly what we're doing, gliding it all over. Which I believe this is the episode which was the season 5 part 1 finale. So this was like the whole season 5 then kind of ended, that whole part, and then the second part was all about the other stuff. So episode 8 was an amazing episode with so much tension building and a lot of great stuff. Right off the bat, I love the scene where the fly lands by Walt, and I think the fly represents just death and everything there, and just his guilt almost, and just like his eternal guilt. Maybe he's not even feeling it now, but it's just his objective morality guilt of maybe a death of his past self, and the death of him. You can see Todd and Walt indisposed in, and he lies to Jesse's face about it, and Jesse starts to figure out as the season goes on that he truly did just kill him. And this is where Walt is now going to Lydia, and he's now planning to kill. He goes to Todd's guys, the neo-Nazi guys, and these guys are crazy. Jack and the crew. These guys will become the ultimate villain later on, to just take out all these guys, which is just crazy. And like I said, it creates Walt into this drug empire kingpin. And I gotta say, I love the scene where the time clicks, and there he goes, and you see these guys get killed in brutal ways, burned alive, stabbed, and he's just standing there. It's like Michael Corleone in The Godfather when he takes out all the heads of the families, and he's the last one standing. I mean, it was awesome. But yeah, after that, you see Hank come over. He's all mad and upset because now he knows what happened. He's at least standing next to the guy that did this. And then they had their conversation, and then Walt, the transition where he goes back up, and now he's in his yellow suit, right back to work, like nothing ever happened. A cool montage of him making the meth with Todd. And then you see the scene where Skylar goes to Walt like, I want to show you something. And Walt just feels empty at this point. He doesn't know who he is, what he's even fighting for, and he shows her this huge stash of money. She goes like, I don't even know how much this is. She's like, how big does that pile need to be? She's like, I want my family back. I want my life back. And this is where I think Walt actually concedes. I feel like the thrill of everything is actually becoming too much to him. And I think it doesn't thrill him anymore. It's not about, no one's there for him. No one's rooting for him. There's no competition. So now he's just like, I want to live a normal family. I think Walt actually does give up here. And you can theorize if he would have went back to it, if he would have got bored of his life. I think that was truly him giving up and going back to his family. I think he loved it. I think he enjoyed it. And I think he, being his family, was there. And that right there was like, well, it's perfect send-off. Living off my family. I'm going to run my car business. I'm going to be really rich. I'm going to be me, and kind of an arrogant guy. But that's that. But after that, we see him start going, and you see that his cancer is actually coming back. Isn't that ironic? Right when he gets that whole stuff, now his cancer's coming back. He goes to Jesse. He gives him his money. He tells him he's out, and you see him having a conversation talking about the old days with the RV. And then when Walt leaves, you actually see that he actually had like a gun because he was afraid he was going to kill him. That's how intimidating he's become. But the actual final scene where he goes to Skylar, he goes like, I'm done, and you see them all hanging out, having a good time. It seems like, oh, happy ever all after. Like this is the happy ending, everything. Then this right here, I think this is where solidifies it as the greatest season of all time. Right when you get there, Hank goes to go take a crap. Sitting there, hanging out, and he grabs a little book. This is not the book. I don't know what this even is, but let's just pretend. The Walt Whitman book. Looks at it. To my WW Shiny Star. He looks up, and it all clicks. Walt is Heisenberg. And boom, it ends. I mean, I gotta say, thank God I was only 6 years old or 5 years old when this came out, because I would have been freaking out if I had to wait a whole nother year to see the next of that. But what an ending, and what a first part of the season. Like, that whole season so far is arguably better than season 4 than its own. I would say better. And then we get the second part, which is literally the best thing I've ever seen in my life. So, let's get to it. Oh, before I say that, the episode is a 9.5 out of 10. I forgot to mention that. Absolutely amazing. Gliding it all over. Is that what it's called? Yeah. Awesome. Great episode. On to episode 9, aka part 2, kind of. Well, it's the next day. Kind of take a little bit of a break there. But I guess it does kind of make sense since this part I'm reviewing came out a year after. I mean, not really, but it doesn't really make sense that I'm doing this in the day, then it was the night, because this part is a whole lot darker, but a whole lot better. So either way, let's continue with the video. Starting off with episode 9, Blood Money, which, yeah, did take a year after. Why the frick my microphone switching colors? What the hell is this? Hold on. Un momento, por favor. Blue, like baby blue. By that, I mean the song in Breaking Bad. Okay. Anyway, so it first starts off with the fast forward of what we saw in the beginning of it, where we see Walt going to his house. It was a really sad scene. Is my mic still switching freaking colors? Yo, bro. What the frick? You know what? Frick the colors. No more colors. No colors at all. This is a dark part. No colors. This is not Better Call Saul. Not the Color Man. Are going to be colorful. It's not that. It begins off with Walter looking back at his old house. I love the scenes of it being the flashbacks. One of my favorite images is the huge Heisenberg thing. He's just looking at it. And once again, just reshows how everything will fall down. But as he's looking for everything, it was a really sad, hollow scene to see how everything fell apart. He goes off and gets the ricin out of the thing. And then he leaves. And he says, I love this because it'll come back to play later in this episode where he's leaving and his neighbor Carol, he's like, hello, Carol. She drops her stuff and like freaks out. And then that's that, because obviously you don't want to man this is in the future. But anyway, get the Breaking Bad intro, and then we pick up right after we left off with Hank literally coming out of the bathroom, and he's completely shocked, completely out of it, and he's just like, all right, we gotta go. He's going. Walt even tries to talk to him, but he's completely out of it. He's just going. He rushes Marie out of there. They're driving. He's having a complete panic attack where he crashed his car, and everything's falling apart. And you could just see the pressure weighing on him as everything is starting to click. And he even tells Marie, like, don't tell anyone. Don't tell Skylar about this. And then he goes into full investigation mode this episode. He's investigating, learning everything. You can see looks like he's almost losing his mind. He looks terrible because this is just weighing on him. And really, as it goes on and on, it just clicks more and more and more. And he doesn't know what to do. A lot of people wonder, like, why didn't he go straight to the DEA? Obviously, he doesn't have the evidence, and this is his brother-in-law. And he even talked about, like, this would be career suicide. Like, if I go into this, like, the Heisenberg I've been chasing has been sitting right next to me. So either way, but I love the stuff him just investigating and being completely everything with that. Also in this episode, you see Walt and Skylar running their business, and you see Lydia come back, or Lydia. She's trying to get back to him. Walt's not into it. Then you see Skylar go up to her and like tells her to frick off. We finally see more of a Heisenberg-y side of Skylar. I should have never have said that. I apologize. Please don't unsubscribe to me. But yeah, it was a interesting scene there. Then we get some of the Jesse stuff. He's just completely fallen apart. It's been getting even worse and worse of him. He feels more alone than ever. He really feels like he has nobody. He believes Mike is dead, and you can just see him completely falling apart, where he actually takes his money, goes to Saul, and he's saying, I want to give it to his granddaughter. I want to give it to the guy who got shot. Obviously, Saul's like, you cannot do that. Obviously, giving it to the kid that got killed, that would be a huge red flag for everything. But he looks at his money as blood money. He doesn't see any value in it, and he is just completely falling apart. And then Saul tells Walt goes to Jesse, and they talk. And, you can see, I love the scene where Walt's just saying, like, he is not dead. Because Jesse's basically falling apart. And I love the acting by Aaron Paul, where he says, I believe he's dead, and I think you know about it. And he says, I'm not. He's like, you have to believe me. And he says, like, yeah, like you said, he's okay. But you see, he does not believe it. And even the shot where he looks right into the camera at the audience. We know, he knows, she knows. What? J. Cole song. Anyway, love that scene there. Amazing acting. And you see Walt puking in the bathroom again, his sickness going up. He realizes his book's not there. And then he starts clicking about the thing with Hank. He goes out there and he sees the tracker on his car. Now he's like, what the heck? And then another scene, we see Jesse just throwing his money everywhere, because now he's just completely falling apart, even worse. Then we get the end scene, which is one of the best scenes in the show, where he goes up to Hank and confronts him, and you can see them both trying to play it off. But then when he confronts about the tracker, he closes it, and it just slowly goes down. It's like, Hank, I don't like the way you're looking at me. And then boom, just punches him right in the face. And he confronts him like, it was you all along, everything, Heisenberg. And he's like, this is not you. My character's back. It's like, go to rot. Everything about this scene and this interaction was absolutely spectacular. I don't think my word could even describe the feeling of this scene, considering everything they've been going through this entire show, and this finally breaking out. And I love the scene where he's like, you're going to bring the kids to me. He's like, that is not going to happen. And then that's when Hank looks at Walt and he just goes, I don't know who you are. I don't even know who I'm talking to right now. Really sad scene, and I love the acting. It was absolutely spectacular. And then he just says a coldest line ever to end it, where he goes, if that's true, if you don't know who I am, maybe your best course of action would be to tread lightly. He says in the most intimidating way. He's completely immersed in Heisenberg, looking straight into him. They're looking at each other. It's a complete standoff. It's now Heisenberg versus Hank. That's who it is. No more brother-in-law, no more anything. And then the episode ends. Absolutely spectacular money that dealt with guilt, it dealt with tension, and it had a phenomenal ending scene. I absolutely adored this. I give this episode a 9.4 out of 10. Amazing episode. On to episode 10. Episode 10 is another episode that was absolutely amazing. As now the tension from the last episode, and then now it's the Hank versus Walt stuff is completely going on. You see, we pick up right after where Walt, he's actually leaving Hank's house. He runs to call Skylar, saying she's on the phone with someone. He looks at Hank and he's on the phone. He's freaking out. He runs to the car wash. She's not there. Then we get the scene interaction between Walt and Skylar. Sorry, Skylar and Hank. And Hank just feels really bad. He's like, I don't know what he put you through. Just tell me a confession. And you see Skylar get really defensive, which does make sense in the moment, because this is a huge thing for her. This could ruin her family, put her in jail. She doesn't know anything. But I get really confused with Skylar in this whole next episodes and this moment going forward, where she really aligned herself with Walt. I don't get it, because she was basically saying she does not love him, waiting for the days he died. Even though that he's technically out of it now, I just don't know why you would align with that and not that. And then she completely goes backward, because she knows, Walt will do anything to get out of this, and if they keep pushing. So I don't know why she would align with that and not, Hank. So that is a really confusing part of her character. That doesn't make a lot of sense to me, but I get it. It's a tension moment, and she doesn't know where to stand. That makes sense to a degree. But, the rest of this episode, you see Walt, he's trying to get all his money, take it out of there. I love the scene where Huel and the other guy, Bill Murray, they're sitting on the cash of money. And he's like, all I'm saying, man, Mexico. And he's like, all I'm saying, 12 men in like 5 minutes. So that was a funny scene. It gets any funnier too, but you see Walt talking to Saul, trying to contact with Jesse. They can't really find him. And then they go take their... I love to see where he's counting the money. And he's like, it should all be there. He doesn't know the amount. And you just see Huel look at him like, seriously, bro? We could have took some. But either way, it's a funny scene. Then this whole episode, it basically describes the name of the title, Buried. You see Walt going in the desert, burying the money. Really cool scenes. And then he gets the coordinates on his lottery ticket, and then you see him just completely collapse when he gets back home with Skylar. And that's when he tells Skylar the cantress back, and she's like, they don't have anything on us. And basically they align themselves. Before that, we get the interaction between Marie and Skylar, as now Marie knows, and the scene about it was really heartbreaking seeing Marie figure out how betrayal and everything's gone. But you can't necessarily blame Skylar because she felt really trapped. But she just completely slaps her, trying to take the baby. Hank comes in, everyone's screaming. The family tension and trauma that's going on right now is absolutely amazing. And this is a huge moment in the show. Each episode is a huge step. Like, think about how huge it is that Hank found out, and Hank and Walt interact after they find out. How big it is that Marie finds out. Then sooner or later, Jesse will find out with Hank. Sooner or later, Walt Jr. will find out. Sooner or later, huge main characters will die. Sooner or later, the whole world will find out. I mean, everything is falling apart in these next episodes, in these next few episodes, and they're absolutely amazing. But yeah, then the next moments of the episode, you get to see Lydia with the Hank people as they now go take out the other guys, and now they're running the meth business with Todd as the main cook, which is not really that great. But yeah, basically the episode ends with Jesse in the police station after they found out all the money was throwing. Hank comes in there, and the episode ends. So a really great episode. Ends on a nice little cliffhanger. Really enjoyed it. I give this episode a 9.3 out of 10. Then we get to episode 11, I believe. Is it 11? Yes. So episode 11, Confessions. Another absolutely fantastic episode. It just carries on everything that they've been building. First off, you get the scene of Hank talking to Jesse, where he says, like, I know Heisenberg, your partner is my brother-in-law, Walt. And you can see Jesse really freeze up, but he doesn't betray Walt. I don't think he really has a reason to, and also I still think he has a grudge towards Hank, and also I still believe Walt's the only person he truly has in his life right now. I mean, even Andrea, he doesn't really want to hang out with her because he probably doesn't feel he deserves her, and he doesn't feel he's good for her, and also not safe for her after the whole thing with the ricin and everything that happened there. But yeah, so he doesn't say anything. Walt Jr. is about to go to Marie's house, but then Walt stops him and tells him about the cancer, basically using that to tell him to stop him from going to Marie's and manipulate him to stay there with him. Really just gross, but I guess he has to do what he has to do. And then you get to see Walt actually make the footage about the confessions, which you don't see till later on, which I like that. Then you go see them all at the restaurant talking. I love where the waiter's coming over trying to talk, and they're just like looking at each other about to kill each other. But the whole interaction was amazing, where they're trying to say this will ruin our family, and then he's like, yeah, like, what do you care about family? You can understand both sides a bit. You can see Skylar feeling more aligning with Walt there. And then after nothing budges, they eventually just give him the tape, which the tape is an absolutely mastermind idea because it makes perfect sense why it would be Hank and not Walt. Everything they say, and the nail in the coffin was that the money that he had paid for his treatment was done by the drug money that they pretended to be gambling, and everything aligns and makes so much more sense why he was going after Hank. I mean, why he was going after Gus and everything. It just makes perfect sense. And they'll say no one will believe this, but then he confesses to Marie, like, what about this money? And then he's like, geez, I'm done. So right there's nothing they can do. There's no evidence they have. There's no evidence they can do because Walt's out of the game. Really, there's nothing they can do. And really, if it's best for Walt, if Jesse never came along, what probably would have happened is Walt probably would have taken his family and moved to a different state and never talked to him again. And they would go off running around chasing their tail for the rest of their life. Because really, there really would have been anything they could do. So, and if they ever did try to do it, then they would play that tape and they would tell everybody. So it was completely Walt's in the safe, the family's in the safe, and Hank is screwed. And you feel real bad for him, and it's not good. Then you get an amazing scene between Walt, Jesse, and Saul, because now Jesse's the only loophole that Hank has, and now Walt's saying, you should move out, you should go live off your life, it'd be good for you, get a fresh start. And you see Jesse just break down because he just sees straight through. Like, can you please stop working me? Stop using me. Just tell me you need a favor. Stop trying to play the whole concerned Dan. Just say you don't care about me. And if it's not this, you'll kill me the same way you killed Mike. It's real sad. And the saddest part about it is you just see Walt just hug Jesse. And Jesse just falls in his arms because really, like I said, he's truly all he has. Maybe I do believe Walt cares. But like I said, his values are to protect him and his family and himself. It's not Jesse, and that's just the truth. I also thought the scene was really funny when they're screaming at each other. You see Saul in the background just like looking at the dirt. They're like, ugh. But anyway, then you get the scene where he is going to leave. He goes to Saul. I love the scene where he gets the phone and he's like, seriously, Hello Kitty? He's like, seriously, it's free?
Seriously? Hello Kitty? Seriously? It's free?
I don't know why it's so funny, but he's leaving and he's going off, and that's going to be the end of Jesse's story. Maybe he's getting a little excited for his future, going to Alaska, which is where he will go in El Camino. But then there's a moment where he tries to grab a cigarette and he realizes, oh, Huel took my cigarette. Saul made Huel take my cigarette because he didn't want me going there high. And then everything clicks what happened with Brock. And he completely freaks the hell out because this is the ultimate betrayal. Everything that he's done, he killed for Walt, he's done stuff for Walt, he's suffered everything. The only person he had in his life that anything he can feel anything for almost did that. And that right there, every pain he's felt and everything, it's now directed at one singular being, and it's Walt. Everything is now there, and now he's completely freaking out. He goes there absolutely crazy mode, pulls a gun on Saul, screaming at him, and then he goes to Walt's house and starts putting gasoline everywhere, about to burn the whole house down. Walt finds out and he starts driving away, and there's the episode. So what an episode, what an ending, and what an absolute masterpiece. I give this episode a 9.5 out of 10. Then we get episode 12, which is another episode that just carries on the tension of everything that's going on. Like, I gotta say, like, how they're able to just create tension and have it keep building in every single episode. It's not like season 4 where it was these smaller things all lead to one, these last big 3 or 4 episodes. This is like a whole 7-8 episode run of just absolute insane madness. Episode 12, Mad Dog, you see Walt get there and he's just not there. The car's there, it's full of gasoline. Then Walt, he does a whole thing about pretending that it never happened because he didn't want to scare Skyler or make her think that they're in danger. But even Walt Jr. sees through it. I mean, for different reasons. Everyone sees through it. So eventually they go to a hotel. And we don't really figure out what happened to Jesse till later on, until we see a scene where Hank goes there right on time. And he's screaming, he's breaking down, he can't keep getting away with this. Absolutely amazing scene. And you see Hank say, you want to tear him down, you want to burn him down, let's burn him down together. So now Hank finally has his loophole, his only loophole, and it's him and Jesse has nothing else to live for besides take Walt down, probably. So it's going to be an amazing scene. You see Walt talk to Saul, and Saul suggests killing Jesse, and this is a really big scene where Walt says absolutely not. So the thing is, he was about to burn on his house. He's like, he's not some rabid dog. He says you would not kill him, which really shows he does still really care for him. And then even Skyler, she says, like, when she finds out, and he says, she's like, why don't you just kill him? Like, after everything we've been through, after all the pain and death, what's one more? What's just one more to get us safe? To make sure Hank doesn't go, make sure he doesn't go to Hank, make sure he doesn't go to the police, make sure he doesn't kill us. What's one more? And Walt is completely shocked by that. He would never expect Skyler to say that. I think the audience would not expect Skyler to say that. You can see Skyler truly is just craving a normal life again, and she's willing to go to any extension to get there. But then you see the scene of them going there and talking to Jesse. They do the whole thing where they record the whole thing about him telling the whole story, which I wish that we actually got to. I mean, obviously, he couldn't put it in there, but I wish like they released that somewhere else. We actually get to hear Hank hear the whole story of Walt and everything that's going on. And then Gomi's there, so now Gomi and them are working together. They have a plan because they get a phone call from him, and he wants to meet up. And so you should go there because he still cares for you. And then Jesse just goes like, you guys don't understand. This guy's the devil. Everything, he's smarter than you, luckier than you. Everything he thinks can happen, the absolute reverse can happen. It's really putting to mind the manipulative power he is, which is true. But eventually he agrees. And Gomi's like, what if he just kills him there? And Hank's like, okay, then we get murder on tape, and then we bring him in. So he doesn't really care about Jesse. He just cares about taking out Walt. And, you know, Jesse doesn't care about Hank. He just cares about taking out Walt. So it's really just two things. It's not really them teaming together. It's just them allying together to take down Walt. So you get a scene where they go there. They're going up there. He starts getting scared that he's going to do something. And then he calls him. And then he just completely erupts. And he just says, like, next time I'm going to hit you where you actually live. Frightens him and his whole entire family. Hank's really mad. He's like, I got a plan. And then that's when Walt stops he's been getting pressured by Saul, his own wife. He doesn't want to kill him, but after he hears that, he calls Uncle Jack, Jack and Todd in his group, and says, I got one more job for you, and that is to kill Jesse. A lot of people think that's the moment where Walt turns evil. I don't know what you're talking about. He turned evil way before that. Anything that right there actually shows a good side in him. That shows that he actually had confliction in him. He didn't just went out his way to kill him to protect himself. He actually conflicted, but it could have been Walt in season 1. If Jesse had tried to threaten his family or say he didn't kill him or his family, yeah, he would have done anything to protect that. So I don't know why people think that's the moment that he turns evil. It's really not. It just shows that he did show some restraint to do it, but now he's got to do what he's got to do. So episode 12 was another great episode. I give this episode a 9.3 out of 10. Then we get to episode 13. I gotta say, these last 4 episodes, 13, 14, 15, and 16, are all absolutely masterpieces, and I cannot put that to any more word. Every single one of these episodes are absolutely phenomenal. So episode 13, Tujahi, I can't really pronounce it, whatever the hell it's called. Absolutely great episode. It begins off seeing, you hear Todd getting the call from Walt, and now they're going up to do that. You see Jesse and Hank working together, staging that he got killed. They go to Huel, and they're trying to figure out where the money is. They realize that it's in the desert somewhere, and they do a whole plan where it's to get these barrels, put them down there, and take a picture and send it to him, and then have him drive them to it, which is a really plan that I think Walt should see through, but since he cares so much about the money, he just was completely blind to it. But before that, you see Walt talking to Jack and the crew, and he's basically saying, I do not want it to be a painful death. I want it to be quick and easy. He really does not want to do this, but you kind of feel like he has to. But when they can't really fish him out, they go to Andrew's house, and he calls them, which definitely would have worked if he heard that, but Hank heard it, and he has no idea he's working with Hank, and he's just like, yeah, I'm not doing that. I'm not showing him that at all. And then you see the scene. I love the scene where Saul comes to the wash, and Walt Jr. recognizes him. They go out there and talk to him, and he's wearing a bulletproof jacket. It's like everything's falling apart. Huel, like he didn't know what happened to Huel, his security guard. And then he gets the picture of the photo, and he starts freaking out, and he's on the phone call. This whole sequence where he's driving, going through traffic, they're going back and forth at each other, screaming. He's like, if you hang up for 1 second, I'll burn every single one of it. Absolutely phenomenal scene. And when he starts erupting and saying, like, yes, I poisoned him, but I did it because I had to do it to protect my family. You don't stick on your exact amount, and you say reasons that almost feel justified, where it's like, I ran over those gangbangers, I killed a million all for you, but you're too stupid to see it. What's really, honestly, it's just, I'm sure they got that recorded too. But he finally gets there, and he sees he's not there. It's like, where is he? What was this? So then he calls the crew to come down there to find Jesse, kill him, protect him, whatever. And he's hiding behind this rock, and then he sees it. Hank and Jesse, they're there. And right then and there, he just is completely broken. He is now caught. He's at a crossroads. There's nothing he can do. The only thing he could do is have the crew come there and kill them, but he knows he cannot kill Hank. He will never do that. He would rather go to prison for the rest of his life, he'd rather die, rather do anything than have Hank get killed, because he knows in his head that he is still in the right and I am in the wrong. So he calls it off. And then he walks out there, and what a scene. You see him walk out there, and he's handcuffed. It's over. The show's over, it feels like. He is now caught. And you see he feels betrayed by Jesse, like he would ever do this. They start yelling at each other, but he's in the handcuffs, and it seems like it's over. And I think he just would have went to jail, and he would have faced his curtain, and he would have done it. But then Hank is sitting there calling Marie, and the whole crew comes. Walt's freaking out. They all pull out their guns, and a huge shootout starts. And there's the episode. What an ending. What an episode. And it leads to the next episode, which is one of, if not the greatest episode of all time. And I give this episode a 9.6 out of 10. Then we get to Breaking Bad, Season 5, Episode 14, which I don't even know where to begin. This is here the only episode I'm going to be rated 10 out of 10. 270,000 votes. and it's rated 10 out of 10. Only in history. Some dumb anime fans even reviewed Bob and tried to get their stuff 10 out of 10. Weirdos. Yeah, it didn't work. And episode 14, Ozynominus, which the word of that means, the meaning is based off a Greek poem, and it basically means about an emperor. It all must fall at one point, and everything will fall down at one point, which is exactly this. Everything crumbles down. This whole entire show, every single scene, every single facial expression, every single sound, every second was built for this moment where everything took play, everything fell down. This was the episode everything built for. They could have stretched this, everything that happened in this episode into an entire season, but they put it all in one episode. There's not one split second of this episode that is not entertaining, that is not insane, that is not thing. It is also absolutely tragic. It's depressing, it's crazy, and it reached heights that almost feel like an out-of-body supernatural experience just viewing it. So with that introduction out of the way, let's hop right into this episode where everything falls down. Great song by Kanye, by the way. All falls down. You should listen to it. But it begins off of a flashback, all the way back at Walt and Jesse's first cook. And you see them, and you just see how much they've truly changed. He calls Skylar. They're talking about the name Holly, which also comes to play a little bit in this episode. And that was the same spot where they cooked at, which was where he put his money. And it's just a sad scene where you see him talking, and then it just transitions to the gunfire and the smoke. And I love how they didn't actually show the gunfire. We just see the beginning and the after, because that's all that really matters. And you just see right off the bat, Agent Gomi's dead, which is a huge thing right there. And you see that, and then you see Hank is now shot in the leg. And you have all these guys, they're all just fine, and they're all coming over there. And it's just like right then and there, you know, there's no way Hank is out of this. And they're about there, they look at Hank, realize he's DEA, and is about to shoot him right then and there. But then Walt jumps out, starts screaming. And he's like, do not kill him. And he's like, why? I just did you a favor. He's like, I told you not to come. He's like, well, I did you a favor here. He's like, it's my brother-in-law. And they're like, you didn't mean to tell us you had a brother-in-law for DEA? He's like, there's a family. It's between me and him. And he's like, sorry, man. He saw our face. There's no way to let this go. And look, there's nothing Walt could have done. And then Walt is so stupid. He says, I got money. Because he's so desperate to save Hank, and you can see it. He's so desperate. Everything, his money, the most protective thing he have, I believe he probably protects more than his family, honestly, is his money. It's buried out here, and it's $80 million. We finally realize the amount. You can even see on Hank's face, he's shocked. And he's too stupid to see that they will just kill Hank and take the money either way. But he's so desperate, saying he can have all of it. All he has to do is let him go. But Hank is not budging, and he goes out not kneeling to anyone. And eventually you see Walt like, you have to be okay. And he's like, what do you want me to beg? He's like, you're the smartest guy I ever met. But you're too stupid to see. He made up his mind 10 minutes ago. Whatever you got to do. And then, boom. Before he can even finish his own sentence, he shoots him right in the face. And you get the iconic shot of everything, the sound blaring, and Walt just absolutely falling apart. I mean, from a guy who was this big, intimidating villain just breaking down like that, falling down to the ground in this desert, while Hank is there lying beside him, his brother-in-law dead. A main character, Hank, a hero trying to put him to justice, dead. And then they take all his money. What an absolute disaster. But they leave one barrel for him, like 20, it was like 10, 20 million, I'm not sure exactly the amount. And he has to shake Uncle Jack's hand, which they create Uncle Jack as a great film. But now Walt, feeling completely broken, he has to put his anger somewhere else besides himself. And it's Jesse. And he's like, Jesse, he's right there. And they grab him, pull him away, and they're literally about to kill him. And you don't know. Like, you look up in the sky, you don't know if they're literally about to kill another main character. But then Todd stops them, because they would have killed him. Walt would have been okay with them killing him right then and there. He stops them, and they plan to take him. He's shaking his head no to Walt, but he's like, he does not care. And he even says, stop. You think for a split second, oh, he's going to let him go? He walks up to him and says, I watched Jane die. Bro. I was there. I could have saved her, but I didn't. What an absolute. It just shows the evil in him that still over-consumes him, and it just destroys Jesse, destroys him as they just take him away. Then you see him get in his car, And I love the shot where the mirror's looking at him and he has to move it because he can't even look himself in the eyes. That's just the first 10 minutes of this episode, guys. That right there, just that sequence is probably one of the best episodes in the show. It somehow gets better. Because now we get another huge moment in the show where Marie's going to Skylar and telling them that Hank has him, he's going to go to jail, and you need to tell Walt Jr. Obviously, he doesn't know what happened, but that's everything. And what a scene it is. You see Skylar breaking down, and you see Skylar and Marie even like try to connect with each other and comfort each other. And the scene where they tell Walt Jr. was devastating. I mean, think about the things that are happening in this episode. Walt Jr. just found out. They think Walt got captured to go to jail. Hank just died. Jesse got taken completely as a prison slave. I mean, oh my gosh, and it's just devastating. And then you get to see later, like a couple hours maybe, where Jesse is absolutely brutally beaten. I mean, you can't even recognize him by his face, and he's crying. And then they chain him up like a dog, where now he has to be forced to cook meth, chained up. And you see even more how terrible he got tortured in El Camino. And he's being tortured, and you see the picture of Andrea, because now after Walt tipped him off, now they know that. So now he can't do anything or they'll kill him. And it's just absolutely devastating that this is almost the end of his character, it feels like. As Skylar and Flynn, Walt Jr. is coming back, he's like, if you knew about this, then you're just as bad as him. But they get there, and he's there. He's there. Walt Jr.'s like, you're some drug dealer. He's like freaking out. No, that wasn't that. You gotta get your stuff. We gotta leave right now. He's like, he's doing everything, and Skylar just stops, like, where's Hank? He's like, he would not let you go. And then she starts to break down, like, you killed Hank. And he's like, you killed him. And he's like, no, I tried to save him. And you hear Walt Jr. in the background, like, what? He's dead? Like, just imagine that day for Walt Jr. Holy frick, waking up that day thinking everything's good, and that happens. And then you see him, like, just get your stuff. And then you see Skylar stop him, grab a knife, and you have to leave. And then he cuts his hand. And the scene where they're attacking each other, holding the knife, you don't know if someone's going to stab each other. The baby's crying in the background. Flynn's freaking out. I mean, the tension that's building the scene is insane. Then Flynn jumps onto him and pushes him away. And Walt screams, like, what the hell's wrong with you? We're a family. And then he just sees the shot of them, bloody, terrified. He's calling the cops. And he just whispers to himself, we're a family. He knows it's all gone. It's all broken. Everything he did for was his family, and it's all completely gone. And then Walt, maybe out of vengeance, maybe out of like a get back, maybe out of he wants to do whatever the reason was, he takes Holly and he leaves. And the shot where you see her just running and screaming in the road filled with blood is, I mean, bro, this is just in the streets of a neighborhood, and you just, like, it's insane everything that's going on. And like I said, I can't describe it into words, the feeling. It's like an out-of-body experience watching this episode. It's insane. And then later in the episode, it's a really sad scene where you see him, you know, we have Holly in the bathroom, and she's like crying for her mom. And it always makes me feel like a weird, sad, uncomfortable feeling when I watch like babies or like young kids cry in movies, because you know they're not acting. So it was pretty sad there. It also shows that his family, like even the baby, everything is just gone. And then you see the phone call, which is a devastating scene, where a lot of people misinterpret that he's just absolutely a monster. He's actually saying these things to try to get Skylar out of it and trying to do something. He's trying to do anything he can for his family now, but he just erupts where he's trying, because he knows they're hearing in, saying like, you knew nothing about it. And he's like, Hank, he tested me, and he just turned into the monster. Makes everyone think he's the monster, because at this point, that's what he thinks and feels he is. He's like, he tested me, and if you test me again, I'll do the same to you. And you see Marie find out, which is devastating. You see Walt Jr. find out, and then he breaks his phone. He's breaking down behind the phone call. He puts the Holly inside the firefighter station where they'll find her and take her back. And then you see him get in the car and leave his identity, leave the world behind, and he is gone. So I don't even know how to describe that. Like, it is just absolutely insane. This is my second favorite episode of all time. I want you to take, here. This episode you think is a 10 out of 10. It's not. It's not. You don't want to know why? Because it's an 11 out of 10. Yes, this is the first 11 out of 10 rating, and I'm not joking. This is an 11 out of 10 episode. And when you hear the heel kicker, this is an 11 out of 10 episode, and it's not even the best episode in the season. So, yeah, this is my second favorite episode of all time. I mean, when you have 11 out of 10 episodes, it's not the best episode in the season. I mean, I think that shows quite a bit how great this season is and why it's the best season of all time. Anyway, let's get to episode 15, which is an absolute depressing episode. Because episode 14, after you turn Walt into the big evil villain, and you show that, episode 15 makes you sympathize for him and break him down emotionally in a spectacular way. An absolute devastating episode. Let's get to it. So Grantee State starts off with Saul and Walt both leaving their identity behind and leaving. You get to see him talking, him saying, like, I am going to kill him and his crew. And I'm going to give my money back to him. He's saying Saul to go with him, but he's saying no, like, I'm not going. And yeah. And I even love the scene where he goes up to his face and he's trying to be intimidating again, but then he starts coughing and he's like, it's over. Like, Walt lost his factor. Everything's over. Then you see Miri being interrogated, and she is really on the hot seat now because she doesn't have anything to sell. You get a really frightening scene where you see Todd and the crew come there in the black mask, like grabbing Holly, saying if you ever say anything about Lydia, which, like I said, turned him to the ultimate villain. So Walt's not the ultimate villain anymore; it's these guys. I gotta say, this episode, the whole stuff with Lila and Todd wasn't that interesting. Like, it's not that stuff I want to focus on now, but I do know it does take in play later on. But you really want to focus on your stuff. But you see Walt, he's all the way gone. I forgot where he is. Is it Alaska or whatever? And I was like, sure. I was like, it's Alaska. That he wouldn't be able to get there. But either way, they're there, and he is just there all alone. And they leave him there, and you see him put on his fedora, walking out there, and then he just goes back. It's just like tomorrow. And then we see more of Jesse as we see him actually start to escape. And the scene of him escaping and getting so close to escaping was so good. But then they find him, and he's like, you just kill me now because there's no way I'm doing one more cook for you guys. Then we get the scene, which is one of the saddest scenes in the show, where they make him in there and they go to Andrea and just shoot her right in front of him. And he's just crying. The acting by Aaron Paul is just devastating. And they're just mocking him. It makes you hate these guys. And absolutely rips out Jesse's soul and just kills it. And he's like, and they even say, remember, they're still the kid. I mean, imagine, like, I mean, the kid probably walked down and found that. So absolutely devastating. Then we see a time jump of Walt way later on, where now he has the beard, and he just looks like a complete broken, lost man. And the scene where he's there and he's getting his medicine, and he pays $10,000 just for him just to stay there because he feels so alone. I gotta say, Bryan Cranston acting to make you feel bad for him again is absolutely amazing, because he feels so alone. Even in human connection, he pays $10,000 just for this guy to even stay with him and play cards. And you see him start getting skinnier. His ring falls off his finger, doesn't even fit anymore. He makes it a necklace. I mean, just absolutely devastating. And then you see him go there, and he calls Walt Jr. to try to go there, give him some money, but he just breaks out. And he basically like, why don't you just die? One of the saddest scenes in the show. Also, where he just like, what you did to Hank with Mom, because what he thinks he's a monster, and you just see him completely broken. And that's where he calls them. He's about to turn himself in, and he sits there, accepts his fate. He is now gone. But then you get a scene which turns everything around, where he sees everything that stems from him and his ego. Gretchen and Elliot talking about how he had nothing to do with the business, that whatever he became, the sweet man we must know, is gone. And you see him just getting so mad, and vengeance infilling him. The vengeance of avenging his life, of giving the money to his family, of becoming something, of not being this loser who died, this criminal, and have these guys think of everything. And the Breaking Bad theme plays for the first time in the show, and then it ends with the police coming in there, and you just see his drink just sitting there, and boom, there's the episode. Absolute amazing episode. One of the best episodes in the show. One of the best episodes of all time. I give this episode a 10 out of 10. Yeah, it's the only 10 out of 10 episode, kinda, because the 11 out of 10 is 10 out of 10. It's just, they're so good. I can't even rank it that. So, anyway, then we get to the finale. The last episode of the season, the last episode of the show. It's the greatest finale of all time, and it's the greatest episode of all time. It's my favorite episode of all time. So let's get to it. This episode starts off in a phenomenal way, where you see Walt in there. The police are coming, and he's hiding in this car. And I love where he actually prays. It almost seems like he's like praying, like, please just let me get there and I'll do the rest. Just let me get there. And this just shows how different Walt has changed. And then they leave, and the key falls straight to him. It was like a call from God that you are going to go get your just ending. You're going to make things right before you check out. So I love the opening. We get the Breaking Bad intro for the last time, and then we see him going off into the desert, driving. This is where obviously he would get the guns and all that stuff, but he makes a call, pretending to be like this news reporter, to see Gretchen and Elliot's addresses, what to bring into his new plan a little later on. But then I love the scene where Gretchen and Elliot are at their house just walking around, and Walt's just standing there, just sitting there, standing for quite some time. And then eventually they see him and they freak out, and he's like basically saying, I love how he comes there with a knife. He's like, yeah, if you're going to try to do that, you're going to need a bigger knife. Eventually they get all the money there, and his plan is, and it just shows, this is where I love it. This is why this is so good. He tells them that they will give this money at a certain time in a certain place, like graduation and everything, but it'll all go there to them. And he's like, why don't you do it? It's like, obviously they want to take it if I wanted to, and the DEA and the Fed said they will not let me give them this money. But it makes sense for you to do it since you guys are rich benefactors, and you know you're once friends of like their monstrous father. And it's such an interesting idea that they do that, because it just shows that it's not about DeWalt anymore, about his ego. Because wasn't that always it, about I need to be able to provide for my family, they need to know I provide for them. It's not about that. These are the people that he hates probably the most, people that he has been jealous of the most, and he's allowing them to take his money and them to do it, and them to think it's from them, not him, because he only cares about the true value anymore. And that's why he's changed completely. And he probably changed a lot more off screen in that whole time being alone and the aftermath of what happened in episode 14. But it's just great to see that. And then where he actually, those two red dots go on him, and he says it's these two hitmen, which is a great fear factor he puts into him. But it's just freaking Skinny Pete, and it's just Skinny Pete and Badger, which is really funny to see them back again. And then they tell him that Jesse is still out there, and he's like, what? They're using him, and then that's when he finds out there, which leads into a lot greater stuff later. But then you get to see the sad scene of Jesse in the future almost. It even shows a flashback of him as a kid building this wooden thing, which goes back to him as a kid when that story is telling about where he built this wooden thing, and like he really put a lot of effort into it. He felt really proud of it, but then he sold it for some weed. But then it cuts to him making meth, and you see his hair is longer, his beard longer, he has scars all over his face. He just looked completely depressed and like not even alive. Then we get to see the whole thing of Walt going to the house saying, hello, Carol, all that stuff we already saw before. Then we see him go and sit right next to Todd and Lydia, telling them, I have stuff for you, let me see him. And they eventually go. But then he snips that little thing in Lydia's drink to knock her out and take her out too. So his whole plan is to go there, kill them all, and that's that. But before that, he goes to Skylar, and Marie calls Skylar, telling him that Walt's out there, be careful. And I love the shot where you don't even know he's there, but it slowly shows that he's there. And the scene is amazing, where Walt not only says he has to apologize of everything he's done, he first gives her the lottery ticket that shows the coordinates to where the body of Hank is, and you know he can trade that for a deal. And she says, like, what about those men that came? And it's like, that'll end tonight. I want to make it very clear, this is also Walt's birthday. This is Walt's birthday. So this is September 9th, I believe. So this is his 52nd birthday. So the beginning of the show ends here. So it's 2 years. Crazy. And then he's like, what's the night? He's like, it's the end. This is the night. It'll all be over. And then, as she's breaking down after finding out the body, and you can see how broken Skylar is. And I love the shot between them where one's on this side, one's on this side, and there's the wall thing, separating them together. It shows how separated they truly are without them being close. They use that same shot in Better Call Saul ending with Kim and Saul, which I just love. I love their visual storytelling. But then I love this scene where he goes, like, you have to know everything I did. And she just stops him. He's like, if I have to hear one more time, he does for the family. And then he stops, like, I did it for me. First time he truly admits it, and then he says, I liked it, I was good at it, and I was truly alive. It's just that right there, and you see him just completely feel ashamed, and he says, "Can I see her one last time?" And what a sad scene it is, where he's Holly's sleeping, and how sad he looks, the life he could have had, but it's over. It's over. And he leaves Skylar, and then the last shot of Skylar is just there. A lot of people theorize that Skylar killed herself, because like the last like scene of her is like hanging, and I feel like she hanged herself. Jeez. Yeah, I don't think that happened, because I think Marie would have said something in Better Call Saul. Well, maybe she wouldn't have. I think she would have, because you know Saul being like all like she was going after Saul for all the damage he did. She probably would have mentioned that. But no, I don't think she did that. But either way, then you need another scene of him just looking for the mirror and watching Walt Jr. go in. There's nothing he can do, nothing he can say. His last time he sees his family as they go off. And now it's go time. Now it's time to end everything and make everything right. Well, you're not going to make everything right. You're going to try to give some meaning to it all. He goes there, he parks his car, and he gets in there, and they are literally about to just kill him. And he stops, and then he plays in on Uncle Jack's ego, like you said you're going to kill him. You lied to me. You're working if he needs a partner. And he's like, a partner? He's like, bring him out here. So he's going to bring Jesse out here, which is going to be crazy as them see each other. You see Walt barely grabbing his key, and then Jesse comes out there, just look at each other like, oh, this is the partner. And I think they both just look at each other and they just, how did we get here? Look how messed up we are. But then Walt jumps on the Jesse to hold him down, and then boom, what a satisfying scene where the thing just goes, just machine gun kills every single one of them. And what a scene. And then Walt gets hits a bit, and then Todd gets up. Apparently that motherfucker survived, and I love that he survived, because then Jesse's the one to take him out, strangulize him, and murder him right then and there. Especially if you've seen El Camino too, it just shows me more how weird he was. Love that he was the one to take him out. And then Hank's not alive, trust me. Uncle Jack's still alive, and he's about to kill him. Like, wait, put the cigarette, like, you want your money? You pull that trigger, and boom, kills him. I love that he kills him without even flinching at either. He kills him before he can finish his sentence, the same way he killed Hank. So, love that there. And then now, with all the bodies, all the pain, all the blood, all the death, everything we've been through, it's just Walt and Jesse again. He drops the gun, Jesse picks it up and points it right at him. And Walt says, do it. You want this. Not only does Walt want to be done, there's no road for him to end. He's going to die either way. I think he truly believes that Jesse is the one who deserves to take him out. I think he looked at him and saw the pain and damage he'd done. He knew that he is the one that deserved him. But then Jesse's like, no, you say the words, say you want this. I'm not saying it. And you're not doing nothing until you say that. Because he knows I'm going to tell him. He manipulates him, and you get to see the trauma reacted. He says, I want this. And he looks at him, sees the blood, he knows he's going to die. I love that Jesse's not the one that kills him. He's never truly changes that. He drops the gun. He says, do it yourself. And he walks out. Then he calls Lydia. And he tells her, like, goodbye, Lydia. And then my favorite scene in the entire show is right here. In the entire show is the smallest scene ever, where it's just, there's no words spoken. It's just Walt and Jesse looking at each other one last time. They look at each other from the distance, and they both just nod their head. You can say what that means. I personally think it means just a goodbye and maybe a sorry. It's like 1,000 words in one of like, we did a good job. Well, not really, but you know what I mean. Like we done something, and we've been through a lot, but we're back here. This is our end of our story almost. And they just nod their head. And Jesse gets in the car, drives off, crying, laughing, his freedom, everything out there. And then it shows Walt just standing there, and he walks back in the lab, the place he loved, the place where he lost himself. And then the song Baby Blue starts playing. First off, I absolutely adore the song, and what a perfect final song. You know, Baby Blue, I guess they got what I deserved. Obviously blue with the meth. He's walking down there, and he puts his hand on it, and then slowly it falls down, and then Walt's just lying there dead, everything over. He went out the way he wanted, lying down there. The camera pans all the way up for so long as Baby Blue keeps playing, and then boom, the police are coming in. Doesn't really matter. Fades to black. End of episode, end of series, end of season. So episode 16 is my favorite episode of all time. I wish I could talk about it more, but I don't want this video to be too long. It already is definitely over an hour. I give this 11 out of 10 also, so there's that. my 2 favorite episodes of all time, and I give this whole season a 10 out of 10. A perfect season, the greatest season of all time, my favorite season of all time, and yeah, so that'll wrap this video, guys. I just love this season. If you actually watch the entire thing, I really appreciate it. And yeah, I don't think any season will ever top this. I don't think any show will ever top Breaking Bad, my favorite show of all time. The only one that comes in close is Better Call Saul, which I will start reviewing soon. And my ranking for all 5 seasons will come out tomorrow. So check that out, and I'll see you guys next time. Always remember, extreme measures are extreme measures. Peace out.